Hey, I'm later than normal, but I'm here. Sorry about that. We had some tech problems getting started. I know. Surprise. Is Joe Rogan transphobic? Fallon Fox thinks so. Let's discuss that. I got some MLB previews for you from MLB.com. Plus, come to find out, maybe I was right about the NBA. Some executives are upset. Plus the Suez Canal and sex toys and why the two are related. All that and more. And Kristopher Hart joins me at 3:30. Lego.
Live from the BiffNet Studios World Headquarters in Spring, Texas, it's Barry on Deck, hosted by former ESPN Houston radio host and stand-up comedian Barry Laminack, starring Oliver the Cat. Written by Barry Laminack, produced by Barry Laminack, directed by, you guessed it, Barry Laminack, featuring sports, entertainment, special guests, film sessions, and some drinking. Okay, a lot of drinking. Viewer discretion is advised. And now, here's your host, Barry Laminack.
What's up, you damn dirty deckheads? Welcome to Barry on Deck. I am your host, Barry Laminack. Thank you guys for being here. Today is Tuesday, March 30th, 2021. I'm all smooth. And this is episode number 221 of Barry on Deck. And we roll forward and we roll on as we get close, one day closer to our 1 year anniversary. I am excited about today's show. Mainly because I got some sleep last night. I was admittedly a little grumpy yesterday, so I want to start this show off by apologizing to Tony. Not because he's not an asshole. Oh, he's a dick. He's a huge, throbbing, veiny... Okay, that was a little... No, he didn't necessarily deserve the ire and anger that I had. It wasn't that big a deal, but, you know, sometimes when you're super grumpy and you're going on no sleep, you tend to overreact a little, and I am prone to that, which you guys know. Some of you know. Most of you probably... Okay, everybody knows that. So I told myself I'm going to get some sleep tonight so that I don't scream at Tony within the first 5 minutes of the show. So I went to bed at 1 a.m. That's early. So I'm excited about the show. My buddy Kristopher Hart's going to join me. This guy right here, Whiskey Pete, a.k.a. Whiskey Neat from the Whiskey Neat Show on ESPN. He's going to join me. I thought I would make it like some sort of weird Inception thing where he's looking at me and I'm looking at him, but he's looking at him, looking at him, looking at me. It's whatever. I decided to wear his shirt for the show. Okay, that's what we're doing. We do have a lot to discuss. Today might be a little controversial. Today might be the day that I say something that gets me canceled. So go ahead, everybody, and write it down and get your tickets out. When would Barry get canceled on his YouTube show? And maybe you'll get to cash those today at the window. As we do, I want to start off the show with the chat and say what's up and congrats to Jeff Bell, who is not only the inventor of the Triple Crown, but he has won several of them. And today is no different. Ooh, Jesus, you were so close, buddy. Jeff Bell, though, first in on the chat, first super chat. We have a Triple Crown winner. Go ahead and put your name down in the books, Mr. Bell, as we keep track of all the Triple Crown winners here on Barry on Deck. So I appreciate you getting in, all of you that get in early every day. I appreciate it. I'm not going to lie to you. When I put the show up and then I see that first chatter say hello or good morning or first or whatever, it makes me smile, even when I'm in a bad mood, because I know there's at least one person out there that wants to see all this foolishness. So Jeff Bell and everybody else in there, I appreciate you. Speaking of the chat, my chat thing is gone. I don't know if that's the right word for it. Thing. That seems wildly inappropriate to say. So we'll just go through and say what's up to John Dory and Jesus Perez and Luis Zelaya and Donna and Francisco and Scott and Keith Sager. D Mata's in the building. Total Dallas, Alan Denson. By the way, I want to say, Alan, last night I gave Oliver the hummingbird toy that you sent, that you and Catherine sent, and oh my God, he loves this fucking toy. It's all he played with all night. So on behalf of Nora and myself, thank you both for sending in a gift that Oliver absolutely loves. SVG is here, Truck Driver Pookie, Justin Swinford, Brandon Martinez, CC in the building, Rick C is here. Who else? Jen. What are we congratulating Steven on? There we go. Current conditions at BiffNet World Headquarters, 80 degrees, dew point 69 degrees. Nice. Mostly cloudy, 100% chance I finally found a new fucking job. Let's go! What? Homie, Uzi, congratulations. I mean, I hope this doesn't pull you away from the show every day, but I understand bills are kind of important. Trust me. I understand. I am, man. I'm so happy for you, Uzi. This is outstanding, man. Congratulations, deckheads. Wish him all, or all of you guys wish him a very congratulations. Okay, you know what the fuck I meant. All right, that's the chat. Let's see. Who did I miss? Anybody important? All of you. P. Jones, Mimi, VB. Who else? Truck driver. Oh, I got truck driver Pookie already. 713 Hooligan. He almost yelled at. Francisco Abarca, $5 on 232. Okay. Tony Garza, sent a $20 super chat, Netflix and cuddle. Did you miss my apology? Were you late, you raggedy bitch? I opened the show by apologizing. Thank you for the very kind super chat, by the way. But if you missed my apology, well, fuck you. That's on you, pal. But I do appreciate it. What's up, BTK? BTK Killer in the building. White Magic is here. I thought I fixed the super chat thing that's supposed to pop up when you guys send one. I don't think I did. I don't know if I did or not. I will continue to plow forward trying to fix that. But if I do miss a super chat, you yell at me, Walt, and everybody else is here. Paul, what's up, Paul? Nick Gamboa, what's up? Nick, 2 days in a row. You fancy pants. I don't know why I did that. That's not fancy. That's fancy. Okay, let's start the show. Let's get to the headlines, because that's the very first thing I want to discuss, because there are some things on there worthy of discussion, including Cougum. Yeah. Cougs advanced to the Final Four. Believe it or not, I actually watched this last night. I finally had a reason to watch college basketball. And I gotta say, first real game I've watched this year from start to finish. I even paused it. By the way, shout out Fubo. I'm already kind of liking it. No difference really in our viewing last night between Fubo and Uverse. So far, so good. Watching this Cougs game, though, I got to tell you a couple things that stood out to me, that you hear the narrative, you hear it being told to you, but until you actually watch them and watch this, man, they get after you on defense. That and the offensive rebounding is ridiculous. This is a team that is nonstop energy. They do not stop. Even when their shots aren't falling, they're going to make it up on defense. They're going to make it up on the boards. They're just going to make it up in hustle and steals and everything else. I see why all the hype around this team has been there all year, and why they were seeded a 2 seed in their region, and why they're in the Final Four. This is a good basketball team. Now, they better hope. That's the scary thing about shooting. It can come and go. I mean, you look at the Warriors in some of the years where they shot the hell out of the ball, but defensively is where the Warriors always kept themselves in the games if their shots weren't falling. Now, it's rare that Steph's shot doesn't fall, but that's what the beauty of how Kelvin Sampson has built this Cougars team. It looks like if their shots aren't going to fall, if they go cold like they did in that second half, they can still stay in a game, win a game, or keep a lead because of their defense. You can't, not all your shots are going to fall, but you can absolutely control your effort on defense. Very impressed with the Cougs last night. I see what all the hype is about. Not saying I'm going to be on the bandwagon, but it was cool to see a team representing this city doing so well on the national stage. So props to the Cougs. As I mentioned yesterday, hadn't watched really any Cougs basketball. I've gone to a couple games, but wasn't really into it in the last couple of years. But I tell you what, not since 84 with Olajuwon do I remember it being this dope. So congrats to those guys. I didn't see the Baylor game. I definitely missed the foul or non-call in the Baylor women's game. But Baylor advances as well, so that's good for Texas. Okay. So where the hell did my thing go? Oh, there it goes. They're my thing. Rangers are done with Rougned Odor. Couldn't give a shit about either of those people. Couldn't give a shit about the Rangers or Rougned Odor. So whatever. But that's a headline. That's news. Dude has fallen off. Rougned Odor is a shell of what he was at the height of his career. So not a huge loss for the Rangers, that's sure. And they are in full-on ass rebuild. The creator of NBA Top Shots got $305 million in funding, which I gotta say, when I first saw that, I was like, why do they need funding? They're getting all this money. Then I remembered they're not necessarily getting all this money. They are making a product that's worth a lot of money. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the margins on a Top Shot are conducive to, millions and billions at this point. Not saying it won't be, and as it continues to grow, but I will say this. I have tried to buy a Top Shot twice now. Fuck that. I'm done. Make it easier for me to get these raggedy bitches. Otherwise, just like soccer, I'm out. Be in the Olympics so I can watch you or fuck off. And I know y'all got, boys, soccer dorks came after me hard in the comments yesterday and on the show. And after the show, and on the Discord, and on my messages on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. And I just got to say this to all of the soccer fans out there. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I said what I said. I stand by it, and I still do. Just like NBA folks wanted to say, there's nothing wrong with the buyout market. One day after I come on this show and say that, there are articles saying, but the buyout market is screwed. Now, as far as the Top Shot thing, I get it. The exclusivity, but if I got to be number 256,000 in line, you think I'm sitting around and, man, no, my life has been fine without a Top Shot. My life will continue to be fine without a Top Shot. But if you're into it and you're making money on them and you got them, cool. That was the thing that was the beautiful thing about collecting baseball cards or basketball cards or football cards is I could go down to Target. I could go down to my local mom and pop baseball card shop, buy a box, buy a pack, buy whatever I wanted to, and maybe pull a badass, oh, sorry, I need to get a pop filter for this, but maybe pull a badass card. With the Top Shots, you're just like, I'm going to wait 94 hours in this day, and then, nope! It's not fun for me. Winning the lottery and getting in the top 10,000 or 50,000, not fun. Not fun at all. So Paul says, what's a Top Shot? Oh boy, you got to Google that. We had not a whole show, but it came up in a segment of the show where we talked about Top Shots and went into details on them and what they are and all that. It's basically an online digital video version of a basketball card. Does that make sense? Because that's, Paul, if I was giving you the elevator pitch on what a Top Shot was, it is the digital video version of a basketball card. And like me, you're probably like, the fuck? How does that have value? It's a whole thing. Find the Top Shot show, watch that, jump on the Discord. Yeah, we talk all about it. No, and here we go with this shit. Now, White Magic says the only ones who don't like Top Shots are the ones not making any money on it. No, that's not true. That's not true at all. I don't want to wait forever to get a Top Shot. I'm sure if I got one and I waited it out and I played the game, I'd make money. But guess what, White Magic? I don't give a fuck enough to have to wait in line. It's kind of like the soccer debate or the movie debate on the Discord with House. I love that you guys will say, the only ones that don't like it are the ones that don't make money. That's not true. I just don't want to sit around wasting my goddamn time for a digital video basketball thing that might or might not make money. That doesn't mean that, well, because I'm not making money. I don't even have one to not make money with. That seems an unfair categorization of people that don't like Top Shots. Some people don't like it because they don't understand the value in it. And so they're to be hated on for that? That would be like me saying, the only ones that like Top Shots are the ones making money. Yeah, I mean, that stands to reason. What I don't like about it is it's too hard to get one, so fuck it. I'm not going to sit there and waste my extra cycles trying to get a fucking digital video of a basketball play that might be worth $2 or $2,000 when I can go down to Target and buy a fucking basketball card. That's the difference. Or a Pokemon card or a Yu-Gi-Oh. I don't know. The whole thing just seems like I don't have time for that. I'm not going to sit online waiting for that shit forever. So if you think that makes me a fucking idiot that doesn't like it because I don't have any that make money, well, okay, that's your opinion. I'm not going to yell at you like I did Tony yesterday, but just know you're a fucking idiot if that's your stance. All right, back to the headlines. Kneeling for the anthem has been okayed for the U.S. Olympic trials. Nothing to see here. That won't be a problem. Why is that going to be an issue? Who's going to get upset about... Okay, now look, explain this to me. I'm sure people got upset because Kaepernick and other players kneel, during the anthem before a regular ass sporting event that only represents certain MLB, NFL, NBA, college teams and games and cities. No one's going to be upset when you're representing your country and then you kneel during the anthem for the country that you represent. There is no way that a bunch of Karens and Kens are going to be upset about this. There's no way that a bunch of dudes that drive F-250s and wear those like long slick sunglasses with goatees and fucking USA polo shirts with those mall walking sneakers. No way they're going to be mad about that. Don't tread on me. Come and take it, guy. What? This is going to get ugly. Get ready, because if you didn't think there was shit to talk about online, wait until athletes start kneeling during the anthem for the Olympics, during the Olympics. Holy shit. Wait until an athlete gets on that podium. You thought that the black fist in the air set white people off? Oh my God. Wait until one of these cats or kitties gets on that podium on the gold medal stand. They put the fucking anthem around their neck. The flags slowly go up. They do that zoom in, that fade out on the flag, then the zoom in on the person, and then you don't see anything. All you see is like the top of their head. All you see is this, because they're fucking kneeling while the anthem is being... Holy shit. I'm here for it. Oh my God. You're literally going to be able to hear white people exploding. Because that's really like the majority of people that get upset about this. If we're just being honest, like I said, some of you are not going to like today's show. A lot of hurt feelings. But if we're just being honest, rarely, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but rarely do I see an African-American person or a Hispanic person or Asian American or indigenous folks getting upset when an athlete kneels during the anthem. It's usually white people because of what it represents. The kneeling represents the need and the need and the awareness of equality in this country. That's really what it represents. So who's going to be mad about that? Well, it's white folks. You're literally going to hear white people's heads exploding when this happens. It's just going to happen. They're just going to be like, oh my God. Wait until it's a white athlete. Well, that's some bitch Michael Phelps. Fuck you, I'm never eating Subway again. Just like you never were going to wear Nike or watch football. Shut the fuck up. And also, by the way, if you boycott something, no one gives a fuck. Hey, Bubba, no one gives a fuck you don't wear Nikes or eat Subway or watch the NFL. Because we all do. You know. I mean, get you a YouTube show, bitch about it, and then let your chat tell you you're a fucking idiot because that's the way you feel. But the rest of the world isn't going to give a shit. Oh, and that's a great point, White Magic. White people that haven't served. I've heard more than one military person say, look, I may not like it or dislike ever, but I fought or I was willing to fight for their right to do that. So fuck it. That's another thing. Yeah, it's going to be interesting though, that the fact that they're quote allowing this. Last thing here is spring training scoring and home runs are down with the new balls. Baseball has been trying to figure out, last year they were like, wow, that's a lot of home runs and scoring and pitching is bad. And now you see why pitchers are having to go to pine tar on the old arm and get their spin rates up and this and that, because balls were just flying out of the yard. No sex jokes, idiots. balls were flying out of the yard, and they had said it had something to do with the fact that ball manufacturers found a way to wind the balls tighter and take some of the wobble out. And when you take the wobble out of a baseball after it's been struck with the bat, it's going to fly further. That's how science works. So I don't know if they put the wobble back or what, but it's going to be interesting to see how the numbers look at the end of the season versus the beginning of the season with these new baseballs. So there are your headlines for the day. I'm trying to see mine. Okay, yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to discuss. All right, let's talk about sorry, guys, my monitor over here is all jacked up. Y'all know I can't have anything crooked. My OCD goes crazy. Science with Barry. Yeah, if you wobble, you don't fly as far. Could you imagine a plane like this? Yeah, it's not going to go as far. You're welcome. I might as well. You know what? I need to recategorize this show. I currently put it on sports in the sports category on YouTube. I'm going to change that to science because I feel like I'm pretty smart when it comes to science. I mean, I just broke it all down. You know, flight. I broke down physics. Like, come on. This is a sports show. This is a science show. This is 100%. Ask me a science question, chat, and I'll explain it to you. Go ahead. Go ahead. There's not a single thing in science that I can't explain. This is just, I should just go recategorize this show while you guys post your science questions. I'm gonna find the show and just recategorize it in YouTube. Let's see. So science, yeah. Okay. I'll explain it. Small wobble ball, Andy Huggins. Katie, that's the thing I was thinking about too. When you said wobble, I was thinking of the line dance. Yeah, I know. Several times. I was going to try to mix in a wobble joke. And then I was like, I don't really know for sure the wobble dance. Like, I got to Google. Let's look up the wobble together because I'm not 100%, 100. Listen, I'm a good speaker. I use words like ain't, can't, and 100. What can I say? Oh wow. I looked at the front of YouTube and it's got I saw like, wow, did someone steal my thumbnail? That's my show, you fucking idiot. All right. How to do the wobble. Let's Google that. How to do it. It's going to be a corny ass white woman teaching us how. Oh, you guys. Oh, get ready, folks. We're going to learn how to do the wobble together. Are you guys ready for this? Yes. What is this? Science AMA. How do planes fly? Well, it's very simple. So, we can do sports science. I could break that down. I'm telling you, I am a science genius. So, how do planes fly? It's very simple. The way planes fly is that they have jets, and those jets push air. Just like if I were to go like this, watch. See how that worked? Like it's kind of like it blows the air, and the force from the jet and the force of the air, it's not centrifugal. That's a whole other force. It's not, the force, like Jedi. It's just the force of the hot air and the wind and it creates a push thing. And then that makes the, plane fly. It's fucking easy. How does semen fertilize an egg? Well, it's kind of like, have you ever, okay. So if you've ever had to give a pill to a dog, then you know that the easiest way to do that is to put it in a treat, right? So you take the treat, that's like the egg, and then you push the pill in there. And sometimes, it takes a couple pills. In this case, it might take a couple million semen. But once you get past that initial membrane of the treat, you get the pill inside there. Maybe you wrap it in cheese, but I'm not judging. You get that pill inside there. You get it pushed in there. You're good. That's the same thing. That's how babies are made. You're welcome. Katie said, why didn't the aliens contact you during the show, Barry? It's really simple. Because I've got, I have a radiant barrier in my attic. That's science. I mean, listen. I don't know what else to tell you. What's up, Rach? I got blast from my past with Rachel and Andy here. This is great. It's good to see you, Rach. Science AMA, is butter a carb? No, butter is not a carb. It's a fat. It's literally, what? No, Donna, don't come in here questioning my science acumen. What? I don't think you know what. Damn, I thought I was going to blame AT&T. No, it's the radiant barrier because it's the one side of it is foil. Hence why, it's like a tinfoil hat for your house. If you're scared the government is spying on you, if you'll put a radiant barrier in your roof, you're welcome. Science question from Kristopher Hart. This is so weird. Kristopher Hart is going to be on the show later, but he's here now. It's kind of dope. He's going to argue with me about a lot of this shit, I bet. Like he knows science. Stick to whiskey, guy. Okay, is your name Science Pete? No, stick to whiskey. Science question. At what level of consent by women can we then make an argument that it's not just their bodies, their rights? Okay, well, now that probably shouldn't have, after yesterday's show, I don't even know if that's an appropriate joke. We maybe need to have a pre-show meeting about some of this, Kristopher. Yeah, there's some things. No. Barry on Deck is educational. Of course it is. I'm going to change the name of the show to Barry on Science. Yeah, Paul's smarter. You guys are getting it now. I mean, look. What? Thank God you have a meeting now. Are you not liking science talk, Cece? I'm so educated, everybody. What's up, G-Man? Answer that. I got $5 on 232. Where? What? No, I'm not. No, I'm not answering that. No, I basically did. I said, that's not an appropriate question to even joke about. How about that? Are you happy now? All right, let's watch. We talked about, KD said about the wobble. Oh, here's Science AMA. I'm sorry. How is Thor able to summon lightning with a hammer? Oh my God. Tony, this is so easy, bro. Look. All right, we all know metal is conductive, right? I mean, when you think about Benjamin Franklin and the key and the kite, I mean, he had to put the kite up there because the key was so small. You know what I mean? Like Thor's hammer is huge. It's a big old honking hammer. It's like a Congo hammer. So he doesn't need a kite to get up there, to get to the lightning, to get it to the key, to get it to the light bulbs that he invented, because he's got, the hammer. And it's bigger. Plus, he can fly. So if he's not close enough to the lightning, he just flies up a little bit. And that's why he holds his arm way up like that. If he did it like this, it might not work because of the hammer. But it's like the antennas on your TV. Remember those? Remember? If you left the antenna down, nothing. But if you pulled it up that extra, or like on your cell phone. Remember when cell phones had antennas? You had this cell phone here. But you couldn't get signal if the antenna was here. But if the antenna was here, that's signal all day. That's the same concept. If you got a key, it's real small. If you got a hammer, guess what? Lightning. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Kristopher Hart said every penny is worth messing with you live. Okay. Thank you for the super chat. I'm pissed it didn't go off though. Why didn't it fire off? God damn it. I got to fix that. Thank you for the super chat, Mr. Hart. Very much appreciated. See, I can't hear what's being said, but I can read it. Everyone say something. Everyone say something weird to Cece. Everyone in the chat. She's not watching right now. Just say something weird. Be like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that about you, Cece. Just pretend like I'm talking shit about her. Even though I love her to death and she's one of my favorite people in the whole world. Just be like, ooh, Cece's going to be pissed. Oh, Cece, you're going to be so mad when you see this. Barry's. Oh, man. Don't make it weird. Shin said, hey, let's just throw away the new sponsorship packages after them. Are you guys not what do you guys don't like learnings about science? Okay, let's just watch the wobble then. The show's so off the rails. Legitimately, I'm having more fun teaching you guys about science than anything. But let's watch the goddamn wobble since Jen just wants to ruin the show. I'm Jen, and I don't like having fun or learning. Here we go, guys. Let's learn how to wobble.
Hi, my name is Robert Royston.
This guy definitely looks like he's going to teach us how to wobble, right?
With artists like Taylor Swift, Carrie Underwood, Brad Paisley. I
mean,
hope that you learn.
if I've ever seen someone that knows how to wobble,
like to move to America's music.
This guy.
And that's country music.
This guy. Let's learn how to do the wobble.
So now what we're going to do is we're going to teach you the wobble. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, the wobble. If you've seen the wobble at a wedding or you've been out at a club, you've seen the wobble, you'll know that it's not done to country music.
No.
It's to a song called The Wobble.
What?
It's more of a hip-hop, R&B song.
It's,
but it's
a
incredibly popular
lot of
dance right now.
black people listen to it. That's when you know white people are embarrassed. They'll whisper black people.
That happen. So we think it's appropriate to teach you the wobble in country attire. Starting off with the wobble, we're going to start and one. And you're
hold on. I love that they said country attire, but she's wearing open-toed sandals. Never have I ever met a hillbilly country chick in open-toed sandals. They're all wearing work boots or what are the Carhartts or whatever the fuck those boots are called. Luke Casey. Ain't no goddamn, she's got on a fucking two-top. This isn't country. This is fucking redneck. This is white trash. This is not country. Now, he looks country, but he looks like, I don't know, like he looks like Italian country with the untucked shirt. First of all, most cowboys they tuck their shirt in because they want you to see their buckle and their balls. That's a fact. Number two, no cowboy goes all Italian with his shirt like that. Number three, why is his hat so fucking dusty? He was probably looking for her dignity in the ground somewhere. Because that top and that outfit and those sandals, no, honey. Nothing about this says country. Nothing. Let's go.
Right foot, then left, and you go, and one. And then you're just
oh,
groove.
Shit.
2, 3,
oh,
4.
yeah.
Then you're going to jump back. And 5,
oh,
6, 7,
get it.
8. So that's going to be jump forward, then wiggle, jump back, then
jump
wiggle.
forward
So
and
5,
wiggle.
6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Oh, fuck. I went too
7,
soon.
8. Then you're going to go to your left.
I just
both
wobbled,
hands,
guys.
You're going to go
it's easy.
1, 2, 3, 4. Other side. 5, 6, 7, 8. And you can kind of put your own flair on this, right? There's no
put my flair on it
to wobble, right?
I'm gonna do some prep in there.
So like as you go forward, as you do the jump forward, boom. If you just want to kind of
all right, that's nauseating. That was awful. Stop talking in my ear. Rev said $5 says this guy has another video that says if they can't say it, why can't I? If they can say it, why can't I? I feel like that would be the case, right, Rev? Definitely the case. All right, well, if you have any more science questions, Marsha goes, this is too complicated. Marsha, that is bullshit. Don't tell me that you can't go to a wedding and do the wobble, but you can do the fucking hand jive with all the goddamn bullshit. If you can do the hand jive at a wedding, you can do the wobble, Marsha. Marsha. Aaron said, thank you so much for turning that off. Yeah, it was pretty annoying. I really thought it was going to be better. Definitely was not good. All right, back to the sports. This show is crazy today. I'm digging it. So the headline that I had for the show. Let's talk a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about this story where Fallon Fox. If you don't know who Fallon Fox is, so let me pull up my link here because I want to make sure I get all the facts of this story correctly when I talk about it. Was that the hand jive? I don't know. Was that the hand jive? Damn it, Fidel, I missed your super chat. My bad. See, I need that goddamn alert. I need Oliver. Barry, can you teach me how to Dougie? Teach me how to... No, I don't even know how to Dougie. I'm so old and white now. I mean, when I was in high school... If learning how to Dougie or teaching how to Dougie or doing the Dougie, like I could do the Humpty dance. I could have taught you that. I could have taught you the prep, the Roger Rabbit, the Running Man. I could have taught you the strawberry patch, the Cabbage Patch. Strawberry patch. What the fuck? That's how old and white I am now. Like I was never not white before. It's whatever. All right. So Fallon Fox is, so Tony says, did he mess up? Well, if you don't know who Fallon Fox is a transgender MMA fighter. She lived some of her life as a man, didn't identify as that, had surgery, identified as a female, and then went into MMA, fought as a female, even though if you subscribe to cisgenders or I don't know, binary, I don't know the right words for this. So I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm probably going to get the lingo wrong. Just know that it's not intentional. Not like my science advice. It's just my ignorance. But Fallon Fox was born a man, transgendered or transitioned into a female, went into MMA, fought as a female. Very controversial back in the day. A lot of people had a problem with that because they said, well, even if your gender has changed, your physical makeup and structure has changed. And that was the point that Joe Rogan was making on his podcast. And let me read you some of the quotes that he said. This was on an episode of Joe Rogan. So Fallon Fox came out and said, Joe Rogan criticizes the transgender community in recent podcast post. Joe Rogan is being homophobic yet again. He has had more transphobic episodes than you can shake a stick at. Spotify needs to cancel his show already. So that was the quote from Fallon Fox. The article highlights a discussion about transgenders that he had with transgendered individuals that he had with Jim Brewer. And these are the quotes. Now, I normally don't like to read you guys quote for quote from articles and stuff. I like to give you a summary and then we talk about it. But I feel like it's important for you to get the full context of everything he said. So I'm going to read you what Joe Rogan said about this. There are people who really have these thoughts. The problem is it becomes a protected subject and then you get praised for transferring your gender, for changing your gender. And then it gets exciting for people to talk about. And then you get chastised for even discussing it in any weird way. And then people who were marginalized for being like generally dumb people, if they transfer over and become another gender, then they get praised. Rogan continued, there are a lot of people who are idiots, but then they become trans and now all of a sudden we think they're amazing. So far, my thoughts on this quote is, it's kind of all over the map. What does your level of intelligence have to do with changing your gender? Or feeling like you've always identified as a woman, even though you were born in the body of a man. I don't know. I think what he's saying is, well, the public says, oh my God, this person's amazing. I mean, I haven't seen that. I think what they're commenting on, I think what most of the time the public is saying, they're not saying they're brave for transitioning. They're saying they're brave for coming out and owning it. Hey, I identified as a man, but I've been a woman since 10 or 20 or whatever. And I think that's what the public is in general is praising, not their intellect, not their intelligence. They're saying that, wow, because think about this, whether you agree or disagree on the subject of transgender people, I don't know, transgender politics, whatever it is, whether you agree or disagree on the subject, put yourself in the position for 1 second of having transitioned from whatever you were born as to what you would identify as. If you were born a man, but you always identified as a woman and you transitioned, think about how scary it would be to tell not just your family, but your friends, your coworkers, your loved ones. I mean, whether you agree or disagree or it's against your religion or any of that stuff, think about for a moment just the sheer, take everything else about it aside and just think about what it would take as a human being to have to go public with that information. Given the fact that we live in a society that still does not accept for the most part or understand for the most part the entire, scenario of being transgender. And I think that's more along the lines of what people are, and to paraphrase, making a big deal about Joe Rogan. Isn't that they're, oh my God, this person's all of a sudden intelligent? No, newsflash. There's some dumb fucking transgender people out there. You can change your gender. That's not going to change your level of intelligence. That's just not how science works. I would know. All right. So he went on to say, He talked about Fallon Fox. He said she calls herself a woman, but I tend to disagree. This was back in 2013. He said she used to be a man, but now she's a transgender, which is the official term that means you've gone through it, right? And she wants to be able to fight women in MMA. And I say no fucking way. I say if you had a dick at one point in time, you also have all the bone structures that come with having a dick. You have bigger hands, you have bigger shoulder joints. You're a fucking man. That's a man, okay? I don't care if you don't have a dick anymore. She's not really a she. She's a transgender post-op person. The operation doesn't shave down your bone density. It doesn't change. You look at a man's hands and you look at a woman's hands and they're built different. They're just thicker. They're stronger. Your wrists are thicker. Your elbows are thicker. Your joints are thicker. Just the mechanical function of punching a man can do it much harder than a woman can, period. I mean, I know some dudes that's not necessarily true about. There's some dudes that punch like probably wouldn't be the right word to use right now. Even Ronda Rousey had criticized Fallon Fox when she found out. She said, even if Fox were to try hormones and chop her pecker off, the same bone structure a man has. So even females in MMA were critical of Fallon Fox. I was trying to find the other part that he said. So I guess I can't find the other part of it, but basically what he said is his point about the transgenders being, they're stupid and now they're amazing. Look, I don't think this makes Joe Rogan transphobic. And that's the question. And that's the point of me bringing up this story in this article. Fallon Fox says he needs to be canceled because he said there are people who really have these thoughts. The problem is it becomes a protected subject for changing your gender. People get excited to talk about it, and then you get chastised for even discussing it in a weird way. And then people who were marginalized for being generally dumb people, if they transfer over and become another gender, they get praised. Suddenly, now all of a sudden, they're amazing. And that was paraphrasing his quote. I don't think that statement makes Joe Rogan transphobic. It might make him ignorant on the subject or have an off-putting opinion, but he didn't say, oh my God, transgender people are fucking disgusting. They're so gross. Keep them away from me. He didn't say that. That would make him transphobic. I'm not going to ride on a bus. I'm not going to use a restroom with. I'm not going to eat at a restaurant or dine at or hang out at a bar or be in a car with he didn't say any of that. That would make him transphobic. But having maybe an uneducated opinion doesn't make you transphobic. A lot of us, and I'm speaking in general terms, and I'm speaking as someone that maybe if you're watching this, maybe you are transgender, maybe you have, or you're thinking about it or whatever. I want you to know something, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. There are a lot of us who are struggling to figure this out because we want to do it right. We want to get it right. We don't want to offend you. We don't want to upset anybody. We want to be as inclusive as possible, but we are ignorant when it comes to this. We just don't know. And I try to educate myself. I try to learn. I read about it. But not everybody's going to go to that extreme to understand you or your plight. So I think what you have to understand is you can't just go around and call everybody transphobic that is ignorant about the subject. It is off-putting to people that are just trying to learn. Now, is that the greatest take in the world? No, it's probably a little short-sighted and ignorant. Transphobic, I don't agree. I think we have to make sure it's like I've said before in the past about people. There's a difference between being racist, and saying something racist. There is a big difference. There are people that don't hate black people, Hispanics, but they might say something out of ignorance that is racist. Big difference. This doesn't make Joe Rogan transphobic. It makes him ignorant. And I just want people on both sides to understand that. And I really am talking to the transgender community. A lot of us are trying, but you have got to be patient. We want to know, we want to be empathetic and sympathetic. And we want to treat you how you want to be treated. We want to, I say the right. I mean, pronouns scare me when I don't know. I mean, it's a scary thing for a lot of us, not because I disagree with any of it. It's because I don't know. It's because I don't know. So I have really tried to learn and read and study. And I think in general, if you're not doing that, then it's your own fault for your ignorance. Then you're just going to continue to show your ignorance. Maybe Joe Rogan doesn't give a fuck. I mean, he seems like an educated dude. But I'm just saying, in general, when it comes to this topic and cis males and, there are a lot of us out here that are trying, but it is a very difficult subject for not only for us to come to terms with, but to grasp and understand, because we don't live it and we don't know it. And it's very new. It's a very new thing for a lot of us. So, G-Man had a good question. What did he say? What is your opinion, Barry? Should they be allowed to compete? Great question. Let's talk about it, because that is a very real and a very good question. So, this is a two-part question, in my opinion. Get those tickets ready. Sorry if you had 232, Francisco. Maybe you should have went with 252. Barry gets canceled on his own YouTube show. Here's the thing. And I'm not going to start off be like, it's not that I don't like. Look, to me, and this is the hard part for me to understand scientifically, and maybe there's information out there that says otherwise, but in regards to what Joe Rogan was saying about bone structure, muscle mass, all those things, to me, that makes a lot of sense. That is scientifically, if you were born with male body parts, if you were born with testicles and a penis instead of a vagina, in the minds of most of us and science, there is gender roles. There is a man and a woman. Well, whether mentally or, however it is that you feel differently, it might be that, and I look at it like this. There are some people born with 6 fingers. There are some people born, there are things that maybe in genetics, and again, this is my ignorance, maybe you identify as a female, but you didn't get the female part for whatever reason. I understand that. But that doesn't physically make you not a man at that moment. And unless you do change your physical structure completely, there are still some advantages of being a male athlete versus a female athlete. And that is what I think Joe Rogan and Ronda Rousey and a lot of other people are saying. I think that there is a distinct disadvantage of when somebody transitions from being a man to being a woman and then going to compete against women in sports. Yes. I think physically that is unfair. I also think it's at a disadvantage for a female athlete that transitions to being a man to then go and compete against men in sports. I think that's unfair as well to them. Now, does that mean that we need to create a new, in order to be more inclusive, should there be a gender neutral? I mean, if we're going to have male track and female track, could we not have a gender neutral track and field where if you do not identify as male or female, you are not, you do not believe in identifying as male or female, then you can, I don't know what the answer is, but I will say this. As a person who is ignorant to this in many, many ways, all I know is that, physically, most men are going to be stronger than women. Not all, not always, in general. And I think just because you change your the organs that define your sexuality or your gender doesn't change the physical makeup of your body. So, yes, I think it's unfair for someone who was a man and now identifies as a woman to be competing against women, especially in a sport like MMA. And if that gets me canceled, it gets me canceled. But again, am I like, well, now, even if you transition to a woman, you got to fight with the men. I don't know the answer to that. Again, that's why I say, should there be a gender neutral option for sports? But then again, you got to talk about, okay, well, physically, if you have a gender neutral option and you have two people, one who was born a man and transitioned to being a woman, and one who was born a woman and transitioned to be a man, and you put them together and make them compete against each other, is that fair? I would still tell you no, because physically the person that was born a man and transitioned to being a woman is going to have a physical advantage over the other. I don't know if there's a good answer to this. It's like the abortion debate. It's like any other political debate. There are going to be two sides of this. Neither of them are right. Neither of them are wrong. There has got to be a compromise. And the likelihood of us finding that compromise, I don't hold out hope for. I'll be honest with you. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Junior? Vicente said Joe simply doesn't know how to clarify himself, especially on such a topic. That is a concern. Look, I just said all of that because G-Man and some of you are pressing me to get canceled or whatever it is, because I know you're like, ooh, I hope he says something crazy. And it's the risk you take doing a show like this. Me and Joe Rogan, we're practically the same. It is a risk. If you're going to talk about race, if you're going to talk about gender, if you're going to talk about these kinds of subjects, it is a risk because you run the risk in our political climate, in the climate that we live in today. I saw a new word, white savior. We'll talk about that later. In fact, if Kristopher Hart did his homework, we'll talk about it with him when he joins me at 3:30, because we're going to talk about this Seaspiracy documentary and all the different things that entails. My point being, these conversations can be scary for a guy like me or a guy like Joe Rogan, because one false statement, one wrong move with your words, and you run the risk of everything you're trying to accomplish or have accomplished comes crumbling down, because the internet doesn't give a fuck about reasons. They don't give a fuck about hearing why something was said. They just want to, in general, there is this wolf pack mentality of let's go after folks. Let's not hear them out. Let's just go after them and tear them down. And that is there are people out there, not everybody, again, not everybody, but that does exist. And a lot of these people that are getting canceled deserve it. But there are instances where stuff is blown out of proportion, like this thing with Joe Rogan. That didn't scream transphobia to me. And you guys know, I would come on this show and go, Joe Rogan is transphobic because of those statements. But I don't see that. And, I think a lot of it has to do too with, do you let them cancel you? Does your fan base let them cancel you? Do advertisers see that as reason to be canceled? So it is a slippery slope. And I don't think G-Man was intentionally trying to get me canceled, but I think some of you guys kind of thrive on that tension and that, ooh, is he going to say something bad? Is he going to say something crazy? And there are a lot of people that just won't talk about it for two reasons. One, because they're scared to get canceled. And two, because they don't know, they're ignorant. And rather than come out and just say, I don't know, I need to learn, they just don't say anything. And I will say this, when you have these kinds of discussions that we just had, and we're about to get to a break because I owe you guys one and I have to pee. When we have, and I'm going to try to catch up with the chat as well. But when we have these kinds of discussions, the bottom line is, and this is why I've never been scared to sit down in front of a microphone, whether it was on radio or right now on this YouTube channel. The reason I've never been scared to sit down and have this conversation is because I know what is in my heart. And I think that is the difference a lot of times, whether it be Joe Rogan or me or anybody else that you listen to on the radio or on YouTube or on TV or podcast or whatever. The difference in how you have these conversations is what is truly in your heart. If you have malice in your heart for another race, or transgender, or the LGBTQ community, or women, or men, or Hispanics or Asian Americans, whatever that is, if you truly have that malice in your heart and you try to hide it, eventually it comes out. So there's a big difference between that and ignorance and ignorant statements. And I hope everybody going forward keeps that in mind now and in the future. When it comes to Joe Rogan and me and race and transgenders and LGBTQ and everything else, let's keep that in mind. There's a difference between ignorance and hate. Okay, we'll get off my soapbox, but you guys asked and I answered. So here we go. I missed a lot of the chat. I don't know what it was. I feel like some of it might have been inappropriate. I hope not. I hope you guys were mature enough to be able to have the conversation in the chat without offending anybody. So we're going to take a break. We're going to take 5 minutes. When we come back, this is what I still have left on the docket to talk about. Rafael Stone, the GM of the Rockets, says he would do all these trades all over again. Talk about ignorance. A massage therapist has come forward to talk about her experience with Deshaun Watson, and she is not one of the 19 women that have filed a lawsuit through Tony Busby, a civil suit through Tony Busby against Deshaun Watson. You might be interested to find out what she had to say in her interview with Sports Illustrated. I have MLB picks for 2021. I have NBA execs saying that they want the buyout market reformed. That sounds familiar. It's like there was this weird fledgling YouTube fuckface saying yesterday that, NBA is broke and unwatchable because of it. And then everyone was like, you're dumb. It's whatever. We got to talk about Lil Nas X and his Satan shoes. Oh my God, there was a ship carrying sex toys that couldn't get its sex toys to its sex-starved people because of the blockage in the Suez Canal. And we got so much shit. Stick around. We're going to take a 5-minute break. We're going to come back. Kristopher Hart joins me at 3:30. Don't go anywhere. This is Barry on Deck. I'm your host, Barry Laminack. Your break video today. It's Tuesday. I try to bring you comics. This is my buddy Suntran. He's hilarious. And he writes jokes for Barry on Sports. So check this out. This is Suntran. I'll see you in 5. Don't go anywhere.
Guys, what a great night. White comics, black comics. They got me from Canada. Oh my God. How lucky are you guys, man? I'm from Canada. I love this country. I love living down here because you guys win everything. I love being part of that. I found out recently, it's a true story. I found out recently the U.S. beat China in the Math Olympics. Can you believe that? Isn't that amazing? Yes. Guys, give it up for the winners from California, Jason Chang and Ling Ling Wong, huh? Yes. Bringing home the gold for the U.S., you guys. We taught China a powerful, powerful lesson, didn't we? Yeah. Now they know exactly what makes America great. They interviewed the parents of the winners. The parents are really proud of our kids. We hope they go on to do great things. I mean, that's what the translator said. I don't know. I don't speak Chinese myself. I'm actually Vietnamese, if you need more information. And if you don't have a good grasp of history or geography, I'm Chinese, whatever. I know you guys can't tell. It doesn't matter. I'll be Chinese for 4 more minutes for you guys. Once again, I'm the only Asian comedian on this show. I'm also the only Asian person in this room, apparently. Fuck. I don't know if you guys know a lot about Asian people. I'll tell you a bit about us before we continue. For instance, I don't know if you guys know this, but the majority of Asian people are actually lactose intolerant. We can't drink milk. And one of the sad and unfortunate side effects of this is that in Asia, they don't find a lot of missing kids. It's like, have you seen this child, sir? Like, dude, I've never seen your product. What is that? 2% of what? I don't understand. Oh, hey, I'm sorry. Before I continue, I want to apologize. English is actually my second language, and I'm a little embarrassed to say this, but even after all these years here, I still sometimes get a little confused by how poorly you speak it. So, bear with me. I'm working on it. I am. A lot cheaper for me than the divorce. But no, she's awesome. She's an amazing woman. She gave me 2 wonderful children. I got my daughter, Chloe. She's 8. She's amazing. And I got my son, too. That's his name, son, too. Yeah, he's a cool kid. My daughter's awesome, guys. She's 8 years old. My daughter this year, a couple months ago, she just won her entire school spelling bee. Yeah, thank you. For the second year in a row, she beat everybody in the school from first grade to sixth grade, including her older brother, by the way, who only managed to come in second place in the spelling bee. So yeah, we're trying to find a new home for him. What a goddamn disappointment that boy turned out to be. But all the credit goes to my wife, you guys. My wife deserves all the credit. She's a real tiger mom. You guys know this expression, tiger mom? She's like an Asian mom who like really pushes academics, right? But sometimes I think her focus on academics skews her perspective on life. Like recently in the car, my son called my daughter the most ugliest girl in the world. My wife lost it. She turned around, she's like, hey, you understand when you call your sister the ugliest girl in the world, you don't have to use the word most? And I was like, whoa. I agree, this is a teachable moment here, baby. I don't know if grammar's the lesson we're going for, is it? Like, what the fuck? Kids are growing up fast, you guys. They're growing up fast, too fast. I realized recently I was watching Discovery Channel with my daughter about lions. The narrator said lions are about to mate. My daughter turned to me, 8 years old. What does mating mean, Daddy? I panicked, I didn't know what to say. I was like, all right, it's like mommy and daddy. When a mommy lion and a daddy lion love each other, they get together and make little baby lions, right? I thought this was an amazing explanation because I had never seen lions mate before. So then I was forced to watch with my daughter as the male lion pinned the female to the ground and started biting the back of her head real viciously. She's trying to claw his eyes out the entire time. She's hashtagging me too. It's like a Harvey Weinstein home movie. And I turned to my daughter and she's horrified look in her face. Horrified look, tears in her eyes. And my heart sank, you guys. My heart sank because at that moment I realized that my daughter now believes that I've sexually assaulted her mother twice. Guys, my name is Sun Chan. Appreciate it.
Yes! Welcome back to hour number 2 of Barry on Deck. I'm your host, Barry Laminack. Thank you guys for sticking around through the break. Son motherfucking Tran. Oh, that dude is so funny. You see why I begged and pleaded for him to be one of the writers for Barry on Sports each and every week, which we bring you and I'm working on. But yeah, that is my buddy Son Tran. It's so cool when you have comics as friends and you guys help each other because he'll like post today. We were all workshopping a joke together on Facebook with him and he had this idea and we're all just throwing out our ideas. It's so cool. And then when you see it go to stage, not that I helped him with any of those jokes or anything. I'm just saying that when you see the process of somebody as funny as Son, it really makes you realize, one, I am deficient. And two, God, this dude is funny. And it's cool to see that journey of a joke. So anyways, let me try something real quick. Don't mind me. I'm just going to try to update the super chat thing here. I think I might have figured it out why it wasn't working in the past. So next super chat, I'm hoping comes through with Oliver's. In fact, you know what? I can test it. Watch this. I can test a super chat. Here's a fake super chat. This is a thing they have. Fake super chat. Yeah, look. Thank you, Nanetta. That's not a real person. All right, got it fixed. That's good. Now I just got to remember to get the other super chat thing up. Hey, all right, hour number 2. Let's go. We got a lot to get to. Joining me at 3:30, Kristopher Hart from the Whiskey Neat Show on ESPN and the Whiskey Neat podcast is going to be here for his weekly visit, and I'm hoping he doesn't say anything super offensive. So let's talk a little bit about this. Debating what I want to do here. I'm really getting tired of the Deshaun Watson thing, but something new comes out every time. Let's just get to it. Let's talk about Deshaun Watson for a second. By the way, if you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe to the show. Just click on the little subscribe button down below. Maybe click the thumbs up to like this episode. Turn on the bell for notifications, all that rigmarole, all that yappity yap. Go join the Patreon. All the stuff I'm bad at promoting. Go do all that stuff, right? Subscribe, Patreon, like, all that shit. All right, here we go. All right, let's talk about Deshaun Watson for a second. And let's talk about this new article that came out in Sports Illustrated. Nope, that's the MLB preview, Barry. Get your shit together. Hey, Total Dallas! It worked, buddy. Thank you. Total Dallas with the $2 super chat, and it worked. The alert is back. He said they sell steaks at the dollar store. What the fuck? What? No. They have a cooler at the dollar store? That's crazy. They do not sell steaks at the dollar store. Now I got to go to the dollar store and look. I can't imagine how awful that would be. All right. Anyways, back to speaking of awful. That's a professional transition. So there was an article that came out in Sports Illustrated on SI.com. And this article is a firsthand account of a massage therapist who, why isn't this story coming up? Is my internet frozen? Are you guys there? Did I lose everybody? Something weird is happening. Anyways, I remember the story. So this massage therapist came forward, spoke with SI under she wanted to be anonymous. She didn't want her information out there. She's still in doing her business, and she didn't want to have any adverse effects on her business. However, she told her story to Sports Illustrated. And I will just tell you right now that her story was very similar to the 19 current civil lawsuits that exist from other masseuses from around the country against Deshaun Watson. However, she is not part of those lawsuits. She has not come forward and sued Deshaun Watson through Tony Busby or anybody else. What Sports Illustrated did to validate this is they looked at the Instagram messages that she claimed she had and the text messages that she claimed she had. They also talked with a family member that she said she had talked to right after the incident. And they were able to corroborate and validate all of the things that she said while she told her story to them. And basically her story was pretty similar to the 19 other stories that we've seen so far that have been filed as lawsuits against Deshaun Watson. She said that he called, he set up something that it was actually a referral from another masseuse friend and said, look, he wants a towel. He doesn't like sheets. It's whatever. They set it up. And she said that he showed up through a private entrance because, you know, he's a big time football star and doesn't want to be seen. Basically about 45 minutes into the massage, she had been working on his inner thighs and, you know, glutes and abs and all that stuff. That was a deep tissue massage. And about 45 minutes in, he just took his towel off and exposed his penis and his whole body. And that at one point in the middle of this, he started to thrust his hips in the air while she was doing the massage. And she said that, you know, it was weird, but she had, you know, she thought maybe it hurt. And then he got an erection. And again, she thought, well, you know, there's something that you learn in massage school that they teach you about, which is when people get really relaxed, sometimes they'll get an erection. She said this has happened with clients in the past. So she said she was trying to make all these excuses as to why he's thrusting his hips in the air, why he had an erection. She kept doing the massage, and she had asked him to put the towel back on, but he said it was itchy. Now, at one point in the massage, she said she looked down on his stomach and there was fluid. And she wasn't sure if it was semen, if it was maybe, I don't want to use the word pre-cum, but I guess that's the only one I know. She didn't know what it was. She was like, oh my God, what is this? This is weird. That he continued to thrust his hips in the air, like basically having sex with the air. She finally said, look, enough is enough. She ended the massage. He gets up, he hugs her, and leaves. She tells her family member about this, and her family member's like, God, that's horrible. He then reaches back out again later and is like, so, you know, I wanted to get another massage. And she's like, okay, but this time you got to keep your towel on. There's no hip thrusting, no erections, no pre-cum, none of that stuff. It's going to be a massage or I'm not doing it. Never heard back from him. Later, I guess he's trolling through Instagram to find new masseuses, comes across her personal profile and hits her up. Hey, my name is Deshaun Watson. I'd like to get a massage. Doesn't realize that he's already worked with her. And she reminds him, yeah, I've already given you one. I'm so-and-so with this company that you used. I'll do it, but I want to remind you, no hip thrusting, no pre-cum, no boners. Keep the towel on. Never heard from him again. So I think what we see here, and again, this isn't somebody that is a part of a lawsuit. This isn't somebody that is working with Tony Busby. This is just somebody that came forward because she's a professional masseuse, and her reasoning was, we have to stop this in our industry. We have to be better about putting a stop to this because it does occur, and it has occurred in the past, and it will continue to occur until we bring awareness to it and do our part to put a stop to it. And this is why she said she came forward. She's not looking for money. She's not looking for retribution. She's not looking to press civil charges or criminal charges, I mean. She just wanted to tell her story and make people aware. And SI did their best to corroborate this. And I think when you have 19 lawsuits and some of the other things and all this other chatter that goes on around this, it's easy to get caught up in all of it. But when you have someone that comes out to talk about their experience with no apparent motivation for monetary compensation or anything else other than to bring awareness to their situation and what's going on in that industry, to me, that's more damning than just about anything else we've seen. And again, this goes back to whether it's 1 or 10 or all 19 that are telling the truth or lying. As long as it's one that's telling the truth, it's all that matters to me. Again, is he a serial rapist? Which was a point that Jerome Solomon was making is, no, but there are levels to sexual misconduct, sexual assault, and it doesn't matter to that level, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's a pretty perverse thing that he's doing. It's pretty disgusting what he's putting these situations he's putting these women in. And some women will react differently than others. Some women, it'll have a more profound effect. And she even said she couldn't see him. She would be on Instagram. If she scrolled past a picture, it would trigger her. If she was hanging out with a friend because she lives in Houston and one of her friends mentioned the Texans and Deshaun Watson, it would trigger her. So whether she was sexually violated or not, whether she actually ever touched his penis or not, if none of that occurred, the fact that mentally now, anytime she hears his name, she shudders and she has to relive that experience, if but for a moment. It's not fair. It has affected her. So it's not that one's a victimless crime. No, it's definitely not fair. It's not fair that he put her in that predicament to begin with. So I think what it again, don't know if it's true or not, but if she's telling the truth, and I'm going to repeat it, believe women. If she's telling the truth, it's just one more in a myriad of stories and a pattern of behavior, sexual deviancy. At the least, it's sexual deviancy with Deshaun Watson. That's part of the problem. Yeah, White Magic, that's the conundrum in all this. White Magic said no matter who their lawyer is, right? When this first dropped and it was one person, it was very sus to me that you had one female with Tony Busby. I'm not saying I didn't believe her. I'm saying that the tactics he used made it seem like it was not credible. You had a lawyer who was basically already trying the case on Instagram, not just going about doing his job in civil court. He was and then you heard, well, there's going to be 3. Okay, so just file the 3. And then you heard 7. And then it became at first it was definitely about who? Not the female, the lawyer. We all know Tony Busby's track record. It ain't exactly the purest and cleanest. So there was a lot of questioning going on in the beginning. And again, not that the lady wasn't being legitimate, but how is this being done? Why is this being done? And again, the question surfaced from several. Why wasn't there criminal charges filed? And we had a guest on yesterday that discussed that for 20, 30 minutes. So yeah, it became, the more women that came forward, the less it became about the lawyer and Tony Busby and who was filing the charges for them. And to me, it became more about who was doing the act and the people that were stepping forward to claim that those acts had been done. And you're like, okay, this is a he said, she said case. The lawyer is being extra on Instagram. A lot of things around this that let's wait and see how this plays out. 3, 7, 9, 19, and now a 20th that's not a part of a lawsuit. I'm sorry. This is definitely a smoke and fire situation. Now, maybe it turns out that all 20 of these allegations aren't true. I would be shocked. I would be stunned. Just the one? Okay. It wouldn't make me preach any less about believing women. But this is sad. This is really sad. Sal said, and it's still weird that Tony Busby is doing this. It is not his field of practice. That doesn't change that Deshaun is a creep. Again, that's part of the conundrum of all this. That's part of the issue that people struggled with at the very beginning was, why are you putting this on Instagram, bro? You're a lawyer. Go to the courts, fight the battle, get the money for the victim, and let's move on. Why are you being so, you look like you're trying to be some lawyer influencer or some weird shit. It didn't make sense. That's the part I think that people struggled with. And that's why I was trying to be very emphatic that, yeah, you can question Tony Busby's motives and we can question the circumstances surrounding this, but let's not believe this woman until we have a reason to not believe her. And then we saw 3, and then we saw 9, and then we saw 12. We are at 19 and now a 20th. And that's where it all changes. Cece said maybe that's his way of having other victims reach out. I don't know what that means. Oh, good point, Cece. Cece saying maybe he puts this on Instagram so that other females that have been alleged victims of Deshaun Watson can come forward and reach out to him because they don't know who else to turn to. That's a great point, Cece. A lawyer that's never dealt with these types of allegations. Yeah, that's another weird thing for sure. All right, one more thing I wanted to get to, and then Kristopher Hart's going to join us at 3:30, but I wanted to bring that up. The Rockets, Rafael Stone, their GM, has basically said that he would do the trades all over again. All of these awful ass trades that they have made involving James Harden. He basically came out and said, yep, do it all again. This was his quote. He said, one of your colleagues texted me that day after the trade and they said they would evaluate me in 2027. This is what Stone told Tim McMahon, is that somebody in the media said, hey, after all these trades, I'll wait 6 years to evaluate this. To which he responded, and I told him that was too early. Wait until 2030. So we got to see 9 years from now what the ramifications are of the trades that are occurring this year. The NBA doesn't operate in dog years, Rafael Stone. Literally in the NBA, you can go from last to 4th or 2nd. Ask the Phoenix Suns. You can be a bad team to a good basketball team in one player, Chris Paul. You can go from a average team to a good team with one player. You can go from a mediocre team to a championship team with one player. It happens all the time. I don't think we need 9 years to know you lost the James Harden deal. I mean, that's obvious. I don't give a shit how good Kelly Olynyk plays. I don't give a shit if Avery Bradley plays well. The draft picks is a different story, but you're going to tell me that a draft pick's going to need 5 years to let us know if he's good or not? That's just not how the NBA works. Now, I understand some of these draft picks are in the future, 2-3 years down the road, and we need to give them a year or two to develop. The 9 years is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But he said, I would for sure. I would for sure. He did the Trump hand for sure. 100% do that deal again. Say no more, fam. You are not the right guy for this job. He said, you guys don't have the advantage of knowing everything I know. I know this. I know this. Avery Bradley, Kelly Olynyk, a first-round draft swap for Victor Oladipo, who you traded for James Harden. You lost. I know that. If your net for James Harden is Olynyk and Bradley and a draft swap with the Bucks and Nets, you lost, player. You're talking about a possibly 2-time MVP, one of the greatest scorers on the planet. and you got Olynyk and Bradley and a draft swap. And I'm going to say this. I looked up the stats because we were like, oh, what about Karis LeVert? And that was a great point, and it is a point to be made. You could add Karis LeVert, who is also struggling a little bit as of late. Nobody wants to point that out. They're only going to point out when Karis LeVert is doing well. The bottom line is this, and I stand by this, and I was chastised by a few people for it in the past. Jerome and Kelly Eco have disagreed with me when I've said this. You had to get either a surefire future franchise star or a young and upcoming superstar for James Harden, or you were going to lose that trade no matter what. Draft picks, there's no guarantee. But if they were to have gone out and got a Zion or got a whatever, at least you're replacing a top 3 to 5 player with a potential top 3 to 5 player. That's how you don't lose that trade. They got none of that. Flat out, they got taken to the cleaners. And I'll say this, if you think Daryl Morey would have lost that trade like that, you're crazy. If you look at it, if not that Harden would have left if Daryl Morey was here, but let's just assume for a second he wanted out. You think Morey gets fleeced like Rafael Stone has? No way. No way. Because he was the one who brought him here. He managed to get Westbrook. It got Dwight Howard. He got Chris Paul. Daryl Morey wasn't getting fleeced. Rafael Stone got fleeced. And that was sad. Rev House said no one was giving a Starden. Really? That doesn't happen in the NBA? Teams don't trade Kawhi Leonard for DeMar DeRozan? Teams don't. Really? No one's doing that. No one's got a disgruntled player that doesn't want to be there that if you don't just go into full-on ass rebuild mode, wouldn't have wanted to go somewhere else and get a fresh start. The Aaron Gordons of the world wouldn't have wanted to go somewhere else. Now, if you're in the middle of a rebuild, Aaron Gordon, when he's going to be traded or hitting the buyout market, no, he doesn't want to come here. But if you go from a top 4 team last year to, well, you send us your star, we'll send you our superstar. Yeah, they probably want to be here. House is saying what other stars moved. I'm just telling you, you find those caliber of players that don't want to be here. And they tried that with Oladipo, but Oladipo didn't want to be a Rocket. He didn't want to be a Pacer. He wanted to be with the Miami Heat. So instead of working a 3-team deal that involved Karis LeVert going to Indy and you getting Oladipo, why on earth wouldn't you go get like a Tyler Hero or somebody else on that Miami team that you think has the potential to be a superstar in this league and work a 3-team deal that way? That's just all I'm saying. KD said, and we're gonna get Kristopher Hart in here in just a second. KD said, Tony, wrong side of Harden doesn't work because Harden's game is unique and can keep him in the league for quite some time. A player who can score and pass at any point. That's the thing. I'm not upset that James Harden left. I'm upset that they didn't get shit for him. All the draft picks are great, but I sat here and said, hell, trade him. Trade him to Charlotte or Memphis for John, or trade him to Sacramento for Buddy Hield. I don't give a shit. Go out and get a guy who has the potential to be the next James Harden. That was my point. Even if you don't get another James Harden, get the guy that could be James Harden in a couple of years. That's what Daryl Morey did. We all looked at when you went and got a 6th man. Yeah, who became an MVP? Did Rafael Stone do that? Is Kelly Olynyk the next MVP of the Rockets? No, he didn't do that. Now, the Christian Wood move, great. I like that. To me, that's closer to being the next James Harden than any other move they've made. But they didn't make that move with James Harden. Hell, at least they got a serviceable John Wall back for Russ Westbrook. You might have won the Russ Westbrook trade, and then you lost the Harden trade? How does that happen? Unbelievable how that happens. So, he's sticking by it, though. What do you expect? You want him to go like, yeah, I fucked it all up. Fire me. Just screwed up our whole future for the next 10 years. Yeah, that's not how that works. in the house is saying, yeah, that was his point. I don't know what actually is available. Yeah, you don't know what teams are offering. Sure, that's true. You also didn't have to trade him right now if you weren't getting value for him. All right, I digress. I'm excited about this. Should be really interesting because now joining me on of course my mouse froze up, so I can't bring him on. Joining me on the show right now, you saw him last week. He joins me every Tuesday at 3:30 on Barry on Deck. You probably have heard him or seen him as the host of the Whiskey Neat Show on ESPN, as well as the Whiskey Neat Podcast. You can find it on YouTube. He's the man about town. He's a really fancy pants kind of fella. Joining me right now, Mr. Kristopher Hart. Christopher, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, man. Can you hear me good? Everything's good?
Sounds great. Yes.
Yeah. So, it's been a while since I've tuned in from the very beginning.
Yes.
And I'm screaming at my computer. The show is so good, man. I love it. I love it so much.
Thank you. If any time, I feel like there's a lot of screaming at the computer screen, and it's usually because I've said something that everyone hates. But you know what?
Yeah.
That's okay. That's part of the deal. Some people are going to agree with me, and some people are dumb.
I half expected you to go against Rogan on that issue, but your stance was extremely reasonable. It's hard to disagree with.
Oh, wow. I'm stunned that you would say that. You know, I have tried, honest to God, Christopher, I have really tried to... I talk about being politically in the middle. I talk about not being a conservative, not being a liberal. I am socially liberal, fiscally conservative. I love my guns in the military, but I love people. That's what I tell people. That if you ask me to sum myself up politically, that's what I tell everybody, right? I mean, I consider myself a moderate. And because of that, and part of that is I really try to find common ground and understanding of both sides in most of these topics. There are a few where I won't budge. Believe women. I'm not budging on that, right? Because I think there's this shift that we need to see and have in this society because we for so long did not believe women. But there are others that I think require a more moderate stance.
Yeah, so I agree with you. For the most part, I agree with you. I think this idea, especially over the last couple of years, you've seen a real rash of people demonizing the middle, saying, "Oh, pick a side. You're sitting on the fence." But that's not what we're doing. What you're doing is you're weighing each situation as objective as possible and trying to give merit where merit is due on each side, where each side is correct. Like it's you're supposed to be in the middle. As opposed to being in this, what's it called? An ideologue where, I'm right, so I have to be anti-abortion, or I'm left, or I have to be pro-choice. Like, you're not just fitting into one lane. You're open to discussion over all things. But speaking of,
here we go. Let me tell you what just happened there. I understand, but is that what just happened there? It's like my wife. I understand, but
bless his heart. So let's. I know we talked about not basically rehashing stuff from the very beginning of the show because that would suck. But the Deshaun thing was fairly recent, and I was listening, and I have a genuine question for people out there about this Deshaun situation. So you want to make sure that when you assess a situation, you don't just blanket the entire thing as necessarily bad behavior, unless the entire thing is bad behavior, right? So the idea of him exposing himself or groping, bad. This is bad, right?
Correct.
We agree on this. But him approaching her and she saying, "Look, I'll come back, but no funny business," and him deciding to look elsewhere, because keep in mind, there's a legit argument in today's society about the legalization of sex work so that it can be regulated and monitored and taxed and done correctly, because the victims in sex work are usually women, right? Mm-hmm. So if he is looking for a certain thing, hey, I mean, the guy, all he's got to do is tweet to get anything he wants. But if he's looking for that situation and doesn't want to go down to the local rub and tug, wouldn't it be smart for him to go to Craig or to look? I mean, how do you approach that situation in a roundabout way without openly? I think the bad thing would be to say, "All right, I agree to your terms. Come over, no funny business," and then doing it again anyways. So you talked about sexual deviancy.
Yeah.
And I agree. There's definitely an issue there that needs to be addressed. But there is a market for people going to places to get a certain service done. How do you approach that conversation? The appropriate way to approach it is like, hey, I'm interested in this. She says, no, I'm not interested in that. He says, understood, no worries. I'll move on to the next potential thing.
I think so okay. So what I don't understand about it, and your question is, if she told you that it was inappropriate during, put your towel on.
Agreed.
And then
we're on the same page.
Yeah. Then why would you go looking for sex from a licensed masseuse who's obviously not a sex worker? You're trying to make her a sex worker or put her in a position to be uncomfortable enough to have sex with you. It's almost like this deviancy of, yeah, you don't want it, but I'm going to make you want it by thrusting my dick in the air.
I agree completely if they're not interested and that's not their thing. But
well, I mean, look, let me ask you this, Chris. Would you go get a haircut and just start rubbing your elbow if your barber was a female on her titty in hopes that, like, that's the same thing that's happening here? You don't go to the barber and try to get sex.
Here's the thing. If there is a market, if everyone in the world, I mean, the vast majority of our adult audience knows that you can go to a massage parlor to get a happy ending. It's a running joke in every comedy film of all time. If it was a known thing to go get a handy at your local barbershop, then yes, you would be rubbing your elbow trying to figure out. It's like the whole toe tapping thing under the stall. You gauge their interest because it's illegal, because it has to be covert, because you can't openly discuss it because it's illegal. There's a market for this thing. So it's not necessarily obvious that she is a sex worker, isn't a sex worker until you kind of toe the line. And I say that not in defense of his behavior, but maybe giving him the benefit of the doubt. And so how do you handle that situation? If that's your kink and there's a whole underworld, it's well established that you can go to these places and get this done. How do you approach getting a need met? The only way you can do it is by approaching it in a roundabout way so as to not be flat out illegal. And then when they show no interest of that or say, look, no funny business, then you're absolutely correct. Then he needs to back off.
I disagree 1,000%. You can't put a female in the situation like that and being uncomfortable while you're naked just to test the waters, to dip the toe in the, am I going to get a happy ending water? That is a question that I think can be asked up front in a way that implies it without incriminating you. And at the same time, your question is, how does he know? You go to the rub and tug place. You don't go to a masseuse who has a license and takes her job very seriously because what she does is offer a service, just because on the off chance you might find one with some loose morals that's had a bad day. That's not fair to all of those women you tried it against just because it worked 1 out of the 20, 25, 50, 1,000 times you did it. So go to the rub and tug, hire an escort, or go to a prostitute that's her job, that she's willing to accept you thrusting your dick in her face for some money.
Yeah.
It's not fair to the masseuses. I understand the question, but go ahead.
Well, to be clear, at the very beginning, I'm saying I'm not excusing the exposing of himself to these women. I'm talking about messaging them. She's saying no funny business. He moved on to the next one on Craigslist, trying to test the waters through text, trying to gauge consent through text. I am not making an excuse, and I am not in defending him exposing himself to someone just to test the waters. I agree with you completely. What I'm simply saying is that in today's current environment, in which we know prohibition doesn't work, whether it's alcohol or prostitution, or weed. These things you cannot, or weed, you can't legalize morality, right? Mm-hmm. So in your story about him, you were discussing the fact that he went to Craigslist and he moved on to the next one when she made it clear.
He didn't go to Craigslist. He goes on Instagram.
Instagram, right? So he was looking for a masseuse, she realized who he was. She explained, I've already worked with you. I have no interest in this. He moved on. Isn't that what you're supposed to do? That last part, I'm saying like
the moving on part.
Measure the moving on part. That's what you're supposed to do. What you're not supposed to do is invite her over under one pretense and expose yourself on the hope, like put her in a position where she feels obligated. I don't agree with that whatsoever. I'm simply saying that there is a thing. This is a part of our culture. Sex work is a real thing, and there are people advocating for it. Part of that story is what he was supposed to do. Now, the rest of the allegations, I don't know them all. I don't know all 20 of them.
Yeah, so Truck Driver Pookie just said he really tried and used Craigslist. I don't know. I don't know if that's the thing or not. I don't think it was. Here's the I understand what you're saying, Christopher, but I think the problem is if your intentions was to hire a masseuse and sabotage her into sex, right? Surprise her into getting a hand job or a blow job or just all out sex by tricking her into, I just got to get my glutes and my penis muscle massaged. What? Okay, you tricked her into that. If it doesn't happen, if you were, and I use the word lure because that sounds like more of what would be appropriate in this, is he's luring these women into thinking this is a business transaction and then making it sexual. So if you've lured this woman once and it obviously didn't get the result you intended, which was sex or a hand job or a blow job, why would you go back and make it uncomfortable again? You didn't get what you were after, so go find another victim. But why go back and put her in that position to have to tell you no again? Now you're just compounding the trauma that you inflicted on this woman the first time. Agreed
100%. 100% we're on the same page. Okay. It's a very good point.
Yeah.
I agree with Cece's point too, when she brought up the whole idea of Tony Busby, why he went to Instagram. One, let's be honest, Tony Busby's a reality star.
Great point. Yeah.
But it's a great point. I mean, by making it public, one, he gets a lot of attention for his law firm, but two, it does help. I mean, that's what happened with, literally the history of cancel culture, right? What's the guy's name? The big director, big producer,
Harvey Weinstein. Yeah.
Or Bill Cosby, right? I mean, as soon as it got out on social media, all of a sudden, all of these stories came forward. And I agree completely that there's way too much smoke for there not to be fire.
Yeah. The further we go, there was, I think a lot of people, rightfully so, for whatever reason, it wasn't that they didn't believe women at the beginning, but it was like, well, let's see, let him have his day in court. When it was one woman with a attention-seeking lawyer, and let's let it play out. Let's not believe her. Let's just, the truth will come out. But then you start to see it, and it becomes hard to deny the fact that there is something seriously wrong going on here. My
wife just walked to the living room and heard me defending Deshaun Watson, and she's giving me a look from hell.
Yes.
I'm like, honey, look, rub and tugs are a thing. Wait, how do you know rub and tugs are a thing?
Yeah, wait a minute.
I don't. I heard about it.
Rub and tugs are a thing. And by the way, when they tell you have to tip, you don't have to tip. How do you know that? Somebody told me. I don't know how that happened. Hey, you had homework for this segment today.
Yes.
Did you watch Seaspiracy?
Yeah, we watched it.
You didn't like it?
What did you think about it? I got the feeling you didn't like it either.
So let me explain. If you guys haven't seen Seaspiracy on Netflix, spoiler alert, we're about to ruin it for you. But basically what this is a documentary that the guy was looking into. What was it? What was the initial jumping off point? Was it like turtles or some shit, or plastics? It was straws. Like, why can't we use straws? Plastics. Yeah, why do we have to use paper straws, and is that really the problem? And then the more he got into this, the more he realized that the entire fishing industry as a whole is ruining our planet. It's destroying fish and dolphins and whales, and they're depleting the entire ecosystem of the ocean. And more that happens, the more it's causing people to find food sources elsewhere, which is why they're killing innocent animals and eating them in, all parts of the world. It's just this domino effect, all caused by the fishing industry. And a lot of the times when you buy tuna or you buy a fish product and it's got a stamp on it that says, we didn't kill dolphins or turtles or whales, that's not true, because they're not monitoring it. Because sometimes they send someone to a boat to monitor whether turtles and dolphins were killed. And that person's like, I'm going to report you. And they fucking shoot the person and throw them overboard. Like, it was mind-blowing. The amount of information.
Mind-blowingly racist, by the way.
Mind-blowingly racist?
Yes, yeah, it was blaming Asian people for all of it. No, I'm just kidding.
I was what? No, what?
No, it's not. I watched it, but it was primarily targeting Japan and China and fisheries
Yes,
in the Pacific,
true,
but
true.
it's a really it's what Tom Segura would refer to as a white bummer movie. It's a total white bummer movie where you're trying to lay the guilt trip on somebody really bad. I mean, it is the plot twist is pretty given pretty early in the film that just basically says plastics are bad and everything, but also there's no such thing as sustainable fishing. The entire concept of sustainable fishing implies that there are no collateral damage, and the film highlights the fact that there is a ton of collateral damage. There is no oversight, no monitoring of safetiness of dolphins being killed. In fact, oftentimes dolphins are seen as competitors against the fisheries so that they will kill the dolphins they accidentally catch so that they won't eat any more fish in the sea.
There was this thing where they were rounding up dolphins hundreds at a time, and they would keep one and send it to SeaWorld, and they would kill 99, not because they didn't know what to do. It was, these are fishermen that didn't want the dolphins eating the fish they're trying to catch and sell. That's literally, they're like the mafia of the sea. They're literally taking out the competition every time they did this. I watched this, and Nora and I both, we watched it together, and the very first thing we said is, I don't know that we can eat like tuna anymore and stuff. It's just, it feels wrong to want to.
Have you ever seen My Octopus Teacher?
No.
Nothing. One of my favorite things while watching Barry Laminack at the Houston Improv is ordering their calamari. And if you watch the documentary My Octopus Teacher, it tells the story about a guy in South Africa who basically developed a friendship with one particular female octopus off the coast of South Africa. And he goes out there every day, gives up all of his work, all of his personal life. Every day he swims out to the same reef and visits his best friend, an octopus. And it goes through the entire span life of predators chasing the octopus, of the octopus getting pregnant and what happens after female octopuses give birth. It is the most sad and tragic documentary, and you realize I can never eat calamari or squid again. It ruins all concept of that. And this film does exactly that. We couldn't go back to SeaWorld after Blackfish.
Yeah.
And we can't eat calamari after My Octopus Teacher. And this film doesn't do as good of a job. It's a bit kind of preachy, but it does highlight the fact that there's a lot of collateral damage.
I will say this.
Yeah.
I don't, you know, it would be like saying, I mean, you can't wipe out an entire industry. I think what there needs to be, it's not that I don't want to eat seafood and enjoy delicious seafood. It's that there needs to be an overhaul of the industry, and it needs to be on a global scale. And there needs to be some accountability for these fishermen. There needs to be accountability for these companies, these regulatory services. That's what it screams. You can't put fishermen and Starkist tuna and, you know, Papa Do's, Dan's Seafood and Wings. You can't put these places out of business. One, food is food.
You back off Dan's for a minute. You leave Dan's alone. Dan's has no part of this conversation.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're a sponsor of this show, and I wouldn't want to go. I mean, you're talking about an entire industry. You're talking about people's livelihoods. I eat meat. I will eat seafood. What I want to see is more regulation, more honest regulation. Because Nora was like, I'm never eating seafood again. I was like, so you're going to, swear to God, I was like, so you're not going to go and ever have Dan's spicy shrimp again? She was like, well, okay, maybe ever again was a little much. Maybe I just won't eat tuna that has those stamps from those companies. I was like, now you're talking. Like, let's not kill an industry. That's an overreaction. But my initial reaction was, I never want to eat it again. It's just not, that's not a normal behavior. You know, it's like seeing how chickens get treated. Excuse me, am I never allowed to have a Chick-fil-A sandwich again? Wrong. Definitely doing that. Yeah, I want you to treat chickens better. But I'm still going to enjoy them because they're delicious. So kind of the same way on the seafood.
I don't know, man. So you gave me homework today to watch Seaspiracy. I'm giving you homework, as you can check by the comments here, to go watch My Octopus Teacher and tell me that does not change your goddamn mind.
Okay. Nora and I are going to watch it. Oh, I'm a crier too. I cry at everything.
It's, oh God, I have kids. I cry at everything. My daughter, well, not my oldest daughter, but my third daughter, her name is Nora. And every We watched that show, that documentary. It's so peaceful. It's so calming. And you will bawl like a baby.
Okay. Well, here's the sad part. I cry. My wife doesn't cry. I mean, I'm on season 4 of Schitt's Creek. I think I've cried with 3 episodes already. Like,
oh my God, the show's the best.
Oh my God, it really is the best. It absolutely.
Can we talk about how great Catherine O'Hara is?
Oh, at first I was like, well, Dave is the guy. That's my favorite character. He's like a Michael Scott version of Schitt's Creek. And then I thought, no, Catherine O'Hara, Moira is one of the best characters in sitcom history. It is just start to finish. It is one of the best. So yeah, I didn't really want to watch it, to be honest with you. I've been roasted by these cats on the Discord and stuff because I prejudge stuff by the trailers and the titles. And they were like, well, you can't do that. Like Reverend House, great guy. What an idiot. He gets mad at me because I prejudge a movie like Justice League or Schitt's Creek or whatever based off the trailer. He's like, you can't do that. I've never seen anyone hate or have a preconceived notion of hate and then like the movie. I'm like, that's not true. But isn't that the purpose of trailers, Mr. Hart? Is to get me to want to see it. So if it does the opposite, that's still prejudging whether the judging is good or bad. The whole point of a trailer is to judge the movie or the show, right?
No. The whole point of a trailer
objection,
is to get
Your
your
Honor.
interest.
Badgering the host.
The witness. Yeah, as long as it's supposed to get your interest. You're still supposed to give the movie a shot.
No, that's if you watched a trailer for Geely or the Notebook, you'll be like, nope, not watching that shit. And then that's the end. You judged it. Now, like I judged Schitt's Creek. I watched like one small trailer, and then you know what I judged it on? The basic silliness of the title. I was like, it's such a stupid, corny, bad name for a show. You're trying to be clever, and it's just not clever. It's the opposite of clever in a lot of ways. In my opinion, as a comic, that turned me off from wanting to watch it. But then I thought, wow, the writing is amazing. The story is amazing. The character arcs are amazing. All of it is wonderful. It's one of my top 5 shows of all time. All time.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. But I feel like it's fair to judge things based on the stuff that they put out for us to judge it on. Because they're trying to entice you with a trailer. They really are. And sometimes that can backfire. You've never seen a trailer and thought, I'm not watching that. No? You've never seen a trailer and thought, I'm not going to go see that movie. And then you didn't watch it. Or if you did watch it, you were like, yeah, this sucks. You got my text.
I got your text. Yeah.
You've never seen a trailer and thought this sucks. And then you happened to watch it and were like, confirmed, it sucked.
There's been a few things I've been surprised on. Schitt's Creek was one of them. TJ Miller mentioned Schitt's Creek, and I couldn't get into it. It took me like 6 episodes. And then finally, you find your stride, and you grow to appreciate the show. You know, I know some people who can't get into Parks and Rec or The Office, and those people are dead inside. But I agree with you. You do great stuff based off the trailer, and if it's not good, it just confirms that the trailer was bad, right? So. Yeah.
So I think we talked about Justice League last week when you were here, correct?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Yeah, it was so much better. Yeah, you still hated it, right?
Yeah, well, look, I hate is a strong word. Like I was out on WandaVision. I thought that was stupid. And it really, I watched it all though. Hold on, let me finish awesome. I watched it.
Sorry.
I thought it was entertaining, but I also said, if you're not a Marvel die-hard Marvel dork, you can skip it. And then House was like, oh no, you got to know for the next 3 movies. If they don't write those movies in a way that you can skip everything else and still follow the movie and enjoy it, they're terrible writers and they should have never been hired. What was your assessment of WandaVision?
Yeah. So I try to tell people, because it took my wife pushed so hard to watch Dexter, and it took me 3 tries just to get through the first episode
of Dexter.
But I got forced through the first season, and I acclimated. I always tell people, if you can give any show 100% of your attention, get off your phone, stop playing Plants vs. Zombies, and watch any show, give it 3 episodes, you'll be able to give a fair assessment of whether or not it's worth watching. but it's not always good the first episode. And to be honest, WandaVision took the 4th episode to finally draw it all together and make sense of what was going on.
I agree. I thought the way they started it could have been skipped. They could have done it a completely different way. They could have done that in 15 minutes to set it up, because I understand what they were trying to do once you see it, but I felt like they wasted 3 episodes. As for the rest of the stuff, literally my assessment of it is we were right back where we started. She's still an emotional wreck, but she's agreed to move on, but she still doesn't have vision in her life. And the whole Thanos snap and the pulling of the thing and all that didn't matter because they still made an entire series around a dead character. They're going to bring them back. They're going to and then it was like, whoa, it introduced mutants. Oh, you could have fucking done that in the post credits of any movie out there. You didn't need WandaVision to do that, was my point. But apparently, I don't know shit.
I agree that you don't necessarily need some of this stuff, but it's nice to have, right? There are things that I'm trying to think of an example here.
Like Mandalorian. You don't need Mandalorian, but it's cool because you love the series and the universe and all. I get that. Like I said, my assessment was it was entertaining. If you're into this kind of things, which I am, I've watched almost all the Marvels and I'm not hardcore. Like I don't know about the whole mutant setup and all that shit, but I find it entertaining. But I think in general, when it comes to any of this stuff, it's kind of like my take on soccer yesterday. There are a lot of us that are just consuming it to be entertained and we move on. We don't live it and breathe it. And that's where the discrepancy comes in, because some folks live and breathe that stuff. And a lot of this becomes unnecessary.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you, but it's kind of like the idea of 24 episode seasons. For a long time, any show that was worth watching was 24 episode seasons, but it was mostly full of chaff and filler episodes. Buffy even did like a musical episode. And now we're in the era of doing like 12 episode, 13 episode seasons. It's nicer, but what that leads to is 3 or 4 extra spin-off shows that tie the universe together. We don't need it, but it's nice.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm not hating on it. I didn't find the
Feels like you're hanging on it.
I feel, well, I have been known. A perfect example of a show that doesn't need 24 or even 10 episodes, Peaky Blinders. 6. That's a season. 6. And you know what?
Great episode. Great.
One of the best shows out there right now. Hands down, in my opinion.
What's the name of that? Sherlock Holmes. It's 3 episodes each season, and they're like 1 season every 3 years. Like it's the most spread out show of all time. Yeah, it's good though. It's Sherlock Holmes with what's his name? Belly Smash something.
I haven't watched it.
Doctor Strange.
Nope.
Yeah, so it's 3 episode seasons, and each episode's like an hour and a half. But Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say belly smash. Did we go back to talking about Deshaun Watson? What is belly smash? Is that what he asked for? Is that code? Is that his code word? Where he's like, hey, I was just wondering, above the board masseuse lady, do you do the belly smash treatment? She's like, what is that? He's like, never mind. It's like, that's like the Instagram foot tap under the stall, right? It's like, hey, do you do the belly smash massage? And she's like, nope. He's like, all right, on to the next. You got belly smash from Benedict Cumberbatch?
I mean, his name is a meme. Whatever. I mean, there's a whole Benedict. There's a whole Benedict name generator online.
Is there really?
Yeah. Find this Benedict Cumberbatch name generator.
Is that the thing? What would our name be? Benedict. Is it Benedict?
Yeah.
Oh, is it? What is it?
Yeah. So Rinky Dink Crumplehorn. That's a great name. Boiler Dang Capital. Like the guy's got
Rinky Dink. Wait. Rinky Dink what?
Benedict Cumberbatch name generator. Snozzlebert Notting Hill. Like he's got Blender Dick Candygram. Like he's got.
These are amazing. This is going to be, look, when I record my album this year, I'm just going to go here, and that's literally going to be the name of my comedy album. Actually, a guy at the Improv, Rich Williams, followed me. He goes, all right, well, because, my closer is all about going to get an ultrasound. And he goes, all right, well, there you go. Micro penis and old balls. And I was like, what? That's the name of my comedy
ultrasound
album.
Or vasectomy?
Ultrasound. It's I don't think you've seen the bit.
I remember we talked about your vasectomy. No, every track of that record should just be a different version of Benedict Cumberbatch's name.
On my screen, so here's the link to it. I'll put this in the chat. It's right there. It's on Tumblr. I don't know if that link will work for you guys, but the one on my screen, Snorkel Dink Animorph. This is so great. Yeah, you just click make a name. Burger King lingerie. Oh my God, this is title Tiddlywomp Clavichord. This is an amazing website. How am I just now finding this, Kristopher Hart? This is why I have you on Barry on Deck, because you bring the finer things in life. You bring the finer things in life to this show. Whiskey, cigars, and bumper stump cover girl. Hey, all right. Hey, every Tuesday, you guys can tune in and catch Kristopher Hart. How can the people follow you online and watch and consume you? Sounds weird.
What did Justin Swinford say? I wonder how long he's been a dick.
I'm closing the show. I need... I'm asking you, how can the people find you online, Kristopher Hart? I tried to do it smoothly. You're just going to make me do this? We're rapping. Let's go.
Yeah.
How can they find you online?
You can check out the show on ESPN 97.5 here at Houston. We drop a new episode every Friday on YouTube. You can check out on all your podcasting platforms. And thanks for having me on, man.
Whiskey Neat. And you will be joining me every Tuesday at 3:30 right here on this very show. That is Kristopher Hart. Follow him online. Consume him online. It is worth it. Hey, I appreciate you, homie. Thank you for being here. That is it. All right. And that wraps another episode of the show. This was a fun-ass Tuesday. This went by really fast. That's how I know when things are moving along a little bit on a show, is it goes by quickly. There's a few shows where I'm like, man, this is a 4-hour show and it's only been 1 hour. So today I enjoyed it. I hope you did as well. I had a great time. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for spreading the word. If you haven't, tell a friend. Subscribe to the channel. All that good stuff. Until tomorrow, the Whisker Wednesday, I will have 2 more adorable animals for you to adopt courtesy of Special Pals. Until then, do me 3 favors when I see you again. Be safe, be kind, and most importantly, love each other. And I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye. Daddy's making a YouTube video.